Klazuski, Yastrzemski, Bill Mazarowski. Hey, good morning. I'm just chanting my baseball card mantra because this morning, I just feel like I really need it because that's what I do when I've been flim-flammed. Well, I'm the big guy, and this is Cardboard Meditation. Thank you for joining me. And for as long as I have followed baseball, I've accepted certain nicknames without question because, they've earned them somehow, some way. But I can't sit idly by and just let this craziness continue. Nope, I need to expose a few things. So let's explore some backstories of some of the most famous nicknames in baseball. And check out the baseball cards that reinforce these myths.
Hey, baseball fan. Time for a little self-care and a few minutes of cardboard meditation. Welcome to the show that features some of baseball's oddest stories and the cardboard slabs that document them. Find peace and joy through baseball cards with your host, the big guy.
Now, before we get going, I'd like to ask you to like, subscribe, and ring the little bell like all the other YouTuber guys do. It's going to help me expand the channel, which is good, but it might keep me from getting traded to Instagram for a creased 1982 Fleer Jack Morris and a pop-up toaster. So that's kind of degrading. So if you could help me out, please do so. Okay, so for years, we've all been bamboozled, befuddled, hornswoggled. You would think that a nickname is rooted in some truth, but for these ball players, well, just listen. John Franklin Baker, better known as Home Run Baker, played in the major leagues between 1908 and 1922 for the Philadelphia Athletics and the New York Yankees. Now, you're thinking he must have just crushed dingers and raked in the RBIs, right? Well, not exactly. He never hit more than 12 home runs in a season and only hit 96 in his major league career. Baker has been called the original home run king of the majors. He helped the Athletics win the 1910, 1911, and 1913 World Series. He led the American League in homers from 1911 to 1914. Walter Johnson, Hall of Famer, referred to Baker as the most dangerous batter he ever faced. Anyway, the Philadelphia Athletics played the New York Giants in the 1911 World Series, and this is the story of how the name Home Run Baker came to be. Now, earlier in the year, Ty Cobb spiked Frank, and they had to stop the game so they could bandage up his wound. Now, many ball players saw this as weak, and during the World Series, the Giants players believed they could intimidate him. So in Game 1, Fred Snodgrass went into third hard and spiked Baker, knocking the ball loose and requiring Baker to bandage his arm. See, the Giants figured that Baker would just withdraw and avoid contact. Boy, were they wrong. Baker hit a go-ahead home run off Rube Marquard for the Athletics win. He hit a ninth-inning game-tying home run off Christy Mathewson in Game 3. And later in the game, Snodgrass again attempted to spike Baker, but he was able to hold on to the ball this time, and the Athletics won. So it rained for 6 days after that game, making a mess of the field, just washing out everything. And the Philadelphia sports reporters had nothing to do. They just kept going over and over the toughness of Baker and his prodigious home runs to win the day. And the longer the Philadelphia press just sat around talking and drinking, the more legendary Baker's exploits. And eventually they just started referring to Frank as Home Run Baker. The Athletics beat the Giants in 6 games, and Baker led the Athletics with a .375 batting average, 9 hits, and 5 RBIs. So he didn't get a lot of home runs in his career, or as far as we're concerned, in his season. He just hit 3 of them at the most appropriate time, and that's how he's remembered. They probably should put an asterisk next to his nickname, or maybe footnotes or something. Look at this Home Run Baker card. It's the 1912 T27 Series of Champions. It is the classic pose. Anytime you see Home Run Baker, this is the kind of pose they use. The colors are striking, and the simple design makes this card just absolutely beautiful. What do you think? Okay, so now let's do this one. What about the Yankee great catcher, Yogi Berra? Now, I thought all my life that Lawrence Peter Berra's nickname came from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon Yogi Bear, which I absolutely loved as a kid. It made perfect sense, right? Right? Although I thought Berra was more of a boo-boo to Mantle's Yogi, but that's just how my pre-adolescent mind worked. So here's the story on Yogi's nickname origin. Lawrence, or Yogi, played American Legion baseball, and one of his friends had just went to the movie, and during the newsreel portion of the show, he was amazed by a film of the country of India and their culture. So his friend's name was Jack McGuire, who, after seeing the newsreel, said that Lawrence resembled a yogi from India. Whenever he sat around with his arms and legs crossed waiting to bat, or while looking sad after losing a game. Okay, I like the Yogi Bear story better that I had it all made up in my mind. You can just hear one of those yogiisms spoken like Yogi Bear, right?
He hits from both sides of the plate. He's amphibious. When you see a fork in the road, boo-boo, take it.
This card is from the 1954 Bowman set, number 161. It's probably the most affordable card from this episode of Cardboard Meditation, and I'm currently working on the set. I just need 8 more cards, including this one. Absolutely beautiful. Now, this last nickname story has always felt to me as though the nickname was his real name, because I never heard anybody refer to him as just plain Joe. Shoeless Joe Jackson. Now, you know this guy for being the guy that was banned from baseball for taking payoffs during the Black Sox scandal back in 1919. Well, we're not going to dispute any of the stuff that was around that story. We're just going to talk about his nickname today. So I thought he was like an old farm boy who just hated to wear shoes, so some of the big city guys just made fun of him, and the name kind of stuck. Well, that was kind of close to the real story. So Joe was born into extreme poverty, and he went to work on a cotton mill when he was 6 years old. Never went to school, and at age 13, he started to really show off his prowess in the baseball field. And he was an amazing ball player, the youngest ever to play on a mill team. So here's the story of his nickname. His feet were just blistering up when he was playing one of those mill games from a new pair of cleats that he had just gotten. So he kicked them off and played in his stocking feet. He hit a base-clearing triple that caused an opposing fan to cry out, "You shoeless son of a gun, you!" Except he didn't say son of a gun. And that name stuck. Shoeless is not a part of his real name. Okay. So, there aren't a lot of Shoeless Joe Jackson baseball cards out there. And those that do exist are very, very expensive. Now, here's a card that might wipe out your budget, but it's probably the most affordable card that you'll find out there of Shoeless Joes. And it'll cost you somewhere between $1,500 and $4,300 as of midsummer in 2024. It is the 1913 National Game card. It's kind of a nice card. Really nice, considering that it's, from 1913, and it doesn't really look like any of the other cards from that era. Now, recently, one of his cards set a record price. You want to see it? Of course you do. It's the T210 Old Mill card, and it sold in a heritage auction back in April or May of 2020, I think, and it went for $492,000. Ouch, I can't fathom that money. So anyway, here are your cards. Thank you for watching. And hey, like and subscribe, because that way you won't miss any of my All-Star Baseball card series coming up in just a few days. Starting July 10th and up to the day of the All-Star Game on the 16th, I'll have some special All-Star programs featuring the cool All-Star cards going back to the 1950s. Meanwhile, invite a little happiness into your life and collect what you love. Talk soon.
Cardboard Meditation helps set your mind right. Thank you for watching. Show us your appreciation by clicking the like and subscribe button. Ring the bell while you're at it so you'll know when we upload a new story.